My name is Stuart and I'm here with Jonathan Tremaine and Robert Monson. And we're just here talking about this event that we got coming up in March, 1, 2, and 3, 2012, called the Stand Gathering, which will be a gathering of Black young adults where we'll be talking about the call of God upon the Black community in this prophetic hour. And what we've been talking about here we've been talking about the subject of intimacy, just the importance of intimacy with the Lord, the whole issue of relationship versus religion in that whole deal. And both of you guys have had a journey in that just in various different ways. And you even came from an atheist background. So just kind of tell us a little bit just about what's on your heart about the subject of intimacy and how the Lord has made himself real to you.
Well, intimacy is important to me because, like you said, I did grow up as an atheist and railing against the church and talking believers out of their faith was one of my pastimes.
Were you successful?
Yeah, I was successful many times. And I had an encounter with the Lord in my dorm room in college after numerous rounds of people trying to witness to me unsuccessfully. And so the thing that I got saved on was an actual encounter with Jesus, and he became real to me because of the encounter. And so spending hours alone in my room was just normal Christianity. Before I ever encountered believers or I got discipled, I would spend 5-6 hours just listening to gospel music. Donnie McClurkin was a CD I bought just because it had the name Jesus Christ on it. And so I would just listen for hours and just let the music wash over me and read the Bible for 5 hours a day. So intimacy to me is the foundation of my faith, and I think that is what young people in the Black community are missing, because they hear all the stories, they see a lot of the emotionalism of church, but they don't have any real connection with the actual person, in Jesus Christ.
Now, this is something you're passionate about as well, just the reality. I mean, even you and I were even talking yesterday just about your favorite thing to do is just to spend time before the Lord and just to meet him in that place.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something about when you are able to actually enter into the place. You use the word encounter. And I really believe that's where so many, both outside of the church and those who have grown up in the church. I grew up in the church, a much different background from you. But, the reality of, I'd heard someone once say, they said, the spirit of religion celebrates what God has done in the past while vehemently resisting what he's doing today. And, I really believe that many have grown up in the Black church system having learned or inherited the memory of encounter with God. There was at some point in Black history where, our forefathers really had encountered God in an intimate place and in an intimate way. But after a while, when you just celebrate the tradition of that encounter, and yet you're not ushered into a place of real experiential, face-to-face encounter with the Lord, learning how to hear his voice, what he sounds like, what moves him, then you die. And I really believe that's where we are, by and large, within the culture today.
Yeah, and it's so important that Jesus becomes real, and and the Holy Spirit desires to do that, to reveal the reality of who Jesus is to a people. So, but there's hindrances, there's challenges. I mean, I know in my own life, I found in my earlier days wanting to have an intimate relationship with the Lord, but just there are so many internal emotional dynamics that make it very challenging. What are some things that you have found have helped you over the years to come into that place of encounter? Actually, and what I'm talking about is where you have confidence, in your interactions with Jesus.
Yeah, and just on what you were saying, I think many people want that intimacy. They just don't know how. And so something that's helped me is just knowing how to read the Word. My first encounter with the Word was just opening up to the middle of the book. And I just, for some reason, just opened up, and it's right on Matthew. And I just
read. That's a good place to start.
I know, right? And so I read from Matthew to Revelation and Genesis to Malachi. Had no idea what most of it was about, but I understood that Jesus was real and he was who he said he was. So even something as simple as the Word being central to your life with the Lord are things that people don't know. Like young people don't know. I can read the Bible. It can actually be interesting. I can actually have a desire to read it, and it can be fun to read. So.
And I think there's a level of separation that you have to first make at the heart level, and then you have to take some practical steps by cutting off some of the activities, cutting off some of the music, cutting off maybe Facebook or some of the social networking.
We're touching Facebook now.
Sometimes to
You just
really
went from preaching to meddling.
stepping on some toes there, but the reality is when you make that commitment at the heart level that you really want to do the Psalm 119, setting your face, setting your eyes, Lord, open up my eyes, David said, that I may behold wondrous things from your law. It's when that becomes a cry of your heart, the groan of your spirit, then God actually answers that groan.
I tell you, there's nothing like it. That is what this whole thing is about. In fact, I love that verse. Open up my eyes to behold wondrous things. And that's the issue of this generation, isn't it? It's the issue of fascination. It is the issue of wonderment.
Right.
That everything that our young people are gravitated to are the things that cause their hearts to feel wonderment.
Right.
And it's the very thing that they gravitate towards because what it does, it dulls the pain, it dulls the loneliness, it dulls the boredom, all these different things. Yeah. And that's such a powerful prayer. Here David says there's nothing more wonderful than our eyes being opened up and then to see glorious things in the
he
Word.
was a king.
Oh my gosh.
He had it all.
He had it all.
He had it
Exactly.
all
Yeah.
before.
And that's the thing that he wanted. And so this has been great. Well, guys, thank you for your time and thank you for coming.
Thank you.